So we have some exciting news.
So, little update, big update, I guess. I just put in my 2 weeks notice at my job. So it's exciting, but also a little scary. Huge moment. I just clocked out for the very last time at my 9 to 5, and wow, this is crazy. It's actually happening. It's pretty bittersweet. Said goodbye to a lot of people that I really enjoyed working with. So, but I'm really excited about this new endeavor.
So she did it. She quit her job. She's going to replace her full-time income with her cleaning business, completely self-employed. This is super exciting. So how do you feel?
I feel great. I feel accomplished. I'm proud of myself. At the same time, I'm nervous and definitely scared.
Yeah, so you're worried about like how you're going to pay your bills or...
Yeah, I definitely worried about that, but I'm kind of using my fear as fuel. You know, I have bills to pay, I have a roof to keep over my head, so it's time to get out there and get to work, basically.
Yeah. I think necessity is probably the best motivator in that once you realize you're like, okay, hey, I have to make X amount, otherwise I won't have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
That really forces you to get out there and make some things happen. So that's the one benefit of quitting your job or trying to replace your job with a business is you have that necessity. It kind of forces you to really work, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you're going to be able to work beyond that and make it scale even further. So, but she's a hustler. I think she'll have no problem with that whatsoever. So we're going to talk a little bit about what her plan is now that she's got no plan, kind of. First, we're gonna cut to the second day of her being completely self-employed and kind of what her strategy was there.
Okay, so day 2 of being self-employed and loving it. I have managed to stay pretty busy the last 2 days with jobs, and I am filling up my days with just passing out my business cards in the neighborhoods of the homes that I clean. So before and after these jobs, I am just passing out as many as I can, basically, just to kind of fill up my days, and hopefully I start getting some calls from these flyers and these business cards. And
So can you expand on that a little bit on what your game plan exactly is?
My game plan is to just keep growing my business, gaining clients, word of mouth. So keep doing a good job, and one neighbor tells the next, and word of mouth, and obviously lots of flyering and marketing, just any way possible.
Yeah, getting out there, just trying new things. Talking to businesses, trying to sell yourself to businesses, going to little like strip malls and small office spaces and kind of seeing what works. The game plan there is every kind of business has a different way to try to sell services to that kind of business. I've found anyways. So what I like to do is start with the small ones, figure out exactly what words or phrases they like to hear, because eventually you do it enough times, you say these phrases, and then there's certain things that like pique people's ears and they're like, ooh, that was a good line. Like a perfect example of this is I've spent a lot of time going to self-storage facilities to promote my moving company. And I noticed with self-storage facilities, one thing that I said that every single time they love to hear what I'd say our guys are super respectful of your facilities. They clean up after themselves. That way, after we do a move out, you're not going to have to be out there picking up trash or anything like that. And every time I said that, they're like, oh, yeah. Last week I was out in this unit sweeping up. I had to do all this bull crap because these movers left this trash out in the unit. I really appreciate that. So like I use that line every time. And I think it's important to practice that on like the smaller fish.
Yeah.
That way you're just going to mess up in the beginning. You're not going to know what to say. So, use those on the small guys, basically. So it's just going to be a matter of getting out there and consistently being out there, putting your face out, and making people like you, which I think you're pretty good at.
Pretty likable.
Yeah. Is that nerve-wracking at all? Like thinking about walking into a business or like strange places or trying to like make those connections?
Yeah, certainly, because it's not something that I've done before.
Yeah.
I go to I used to go to my job, and I'd be in an office all day, and I wouldn't have to go out and talk to lots of people and put myself out there. And I'm putting myself out there now, and this
Yeah.
is
And it's different when you're like selling your own thing versus selling someone else's thing, I think. Because like your face and your name is on it. I don't know, there's more pressure when you're selling your own thing.
right. You're
Not to
selling
s-
yourself.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not to say you shouldn't do it. And it's just a matter of doing it. Like when I first started doing it, it was so awkward. Like I have a video where I went to 500 different businesses and just cold approached them and in attempt to get referrals from them to refer my business to their existing customers. And let me tell you, like the first 100, 150 of them were awkward.
Yeah,
Like,
awkward.
Yeah.
I get that.
And for someone approaching it, like most people wouldn't even think like, you'd think, okay, if I did 100, I'd be an expert. No, I was not an expert after 100. Like it was probably like 400, 450 before I'd consider myself good at it.
Yeah.
And I would measure like how the conversation went after every interaction, and like I would just do 1 to 5 stars, and the number of 5 stars at the last 100 was a lot more than the number of 5 stars in the first 100, and it wasn't because of them. It was definitely because of me. So
You can be awkward a little bit sometimes.
yeah, sometimes, but I'm extroverted by necessity. When it comes to business, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I'll do it. So is this cleaning business something that you can see yourself doing for like years to come, or is this like a stepping stone, or what do you want from it?
I could definitely see myself doing it years down the road, and it's just something I genuinely enjoy, and I believe that everyone deserves to have a clean home. I just know that for me, it takes a lot of stress off when you have a clean house, and for so many people, they're not able to because either they've had an injury recently or they're a single parent, they're so busy, and none of that should hold them back from having a clean home. And it's time consuming cleaning your house, so let me do it.
Yeah. So how do you think your role will change over time?
Eventually, hopefully, I'll be in a management position to where I have crews, and occasionally if I have to go out and clean houses, step in, that's fine. I would be fine with that. But eventually I would like to be in a management role to where I have crews out there doing all the work, and I'm just doing, promoting the business and
Right.
have more time for that, because I wish that I had more time for that right now.
Yeah. It's already becoming like
Yeah.
work all the time. Marketing kind of gets put to the side
It
because you're
does.
constantly cleaning. So you can see like if you were able to market the whole time, the amount of growth you'd be able to have.
Yeah.
But even if, let's say, a year or two down the road, you're like, hey, cleaning, it's not super exciting anymore. What I really like about these service type businesses is you can build them up, you have this like cash flow coming in, or a solid business with recurring clients that you can sell, and then you can either take that cash flow or sell the business and put it into something like real estate or something bigger and transition kind of. It allows you to do something bigger in the future with that money, whether it means you stay in the business or not. Like I said, if it's just cash flow wise, you build up 100 grand, you put that money into some real estate, you keep cash flowing with your current business, that's all you do, and you kind of put money in more passive things, that builds up quick too. So that's what I really like about the service kind of businesses, is they're so easy to get into.
Yeah.
And then it allows you, if you play it right and play it the long game, it allows you to make much more money in the long run and do much bigger things because there's just cash flow.
Right.
But it comes down to being smart too, because a lot of people, they'll start a service business, they get some money coming in for the first time ever, and then they spend it all on a nice car, on dog treats for your dog.
He's got a lot of treats.
Yeah, she's been
recently.
getting a lot of treats.
Hey, the cats have been getting treats too, so they're not complaining.
Yeah, they're pretty happy with that situation. But I just think there's a huge opportunity in just about any service business, and just using those cash flows and transitioning it. So no matter what, there's a pivot or a place in the long run. So how are you staying like self-motivated, on track? What are you going to do to, when you're working for someone, it's, hey, show up at 8 a.m., otherwise you're going to get fired.
Yeah.
But when you're working for yourself, it's start the day.
Showing up for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So how are you going to keep accountable for that besides me yelling at you?
You do sometimes yell at me. Well, that's not yelling, but
Yeah.
it's that voice,
Stern.
you know, that stern, like, dad voice.
Yeah.
It's pretty intimidating.
More just questioning, like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah. No, like I said, I'm showing up for myself. I want to keep, you know, I want to make myself proud. I think it's all about, it's not impressing anybody. It's not about anyone else. I'm doing this for myself and
Yeah.
for my future.
Yeah. So I think it's really easy to let yourself slip when you're making enough to cover your bills and you're working for yourself. When it's your full-time gig. When you're working a full-time job and then you have like a side hustle kind of thing going on, it's pretty hard to let yourself slip because you have that full-time job and then you have the necessity of doing the other stuff after work. But then once your business is your full-time job, it's easy to wake up at 10, 11 a.m. because there's no one watching whether you
Right.
started the day, or there's no one keeping tabs whether you did your marketing work,
Yeah.
anything like that. So I think it's really important to keep like a rigid schedule. Like, as you probably know, I pretty much do the exact same thing like every day.
Yeah.
And that's by necessity because I know unless I get this, and this done, it's either not going to get done or I'm going to feel like crap because it didn't get done.
Yeah.
And it's going to get done the next day. So it's not so much about trying to like get so much done in a short period of time. It's just the consistency of every day doing those little things that add up, like flyering, talking to people, you know, just getting the word out. That's the biggest thing. And then setting goals too. So like thinking, okay, I'm going to go out and market for every week I'm going to go out and market. I mean, that is so vague, and that could mean so many different things. That could mean you go and talk to one business. That could mean you go and talk to 100 businesses. So I think it's a lot better to use actual numbers, like, okay, every week I'm going to go and talk to 25 businesses. And then if you don't hit that 25, you didn't hit your goal. And it's much more concrete and it's more a real thing versus I'm just going to go market.
Yeah.
Because that could
Right.
mean anything. So hitting those goals, and then you know if I talk to 25 businesses, that means I'm going to land X amount of accounts, and by year 1, year 2, year 3, I'm going to have this many accounts if I just stick to this simple plan.
Yeah.
And it's really simple that way. And then on top of that, rewarding yourself when you hit your goals. Maybe not every week, but if you hit them, you know, 4 weeks in a row or something like that, I'm going to do this for myself because I deserve it.
Yeah.
And those things combined, if you can just stick to them, like, it's hard to fail, to be honest. So yeah, it's just sticking to that schedule. So yeah, I mean, we're just really excited. This is like I don't know. It's like such a huge stepping stone to be able to work for yourself completely. Like, that's the one thing that I think
It is.
people like want the most. I wish I could quit my job and work for myself.
Yeah.
And you did it in like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Or 5 weeks. Like, that's mind blowing.
I know. That's what I said. I'm proud of myself. And
Yeah.
I feel very accomplished.
Yeah, so I hope this helps like motivate other people and realize like
Yeah.
how doable it is. So
is.
many people are stuck in like jobs that they hate and they think there's no way out, and you did it in less than two months.
Yeah.
You replaced your job. That's amazing. So I'm really excited about it, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks.